Hey guys, Gerald here. I'm here to talk about more comics, like I talked about in my previous video. This video, I kind of want to focus on Alan Moore's Tomorrow Stories, and not only Alan Moore is obviously included in this. It's an anthology series, and it has three kind of continuing stories. Not necessarily, not every issue continues the story that the last issue left off on. It's more of a true to form anthology series with just specific characters. So the three characters that kind of occupy this anthologies is Jack Be Quick, the Cobweb, but her full name is Madam Cobweb, and then the First American and U.S. Angel. And so every one of these stories kind of riff on different aspects of the comics industry and also different genres as well. So this one, this specific issue is like our introduction to all these characters. This is issue 1 with a cover by Alex Ross. As you can tell, it's very cool. So kind of just to back up and talk about this for a little bit. So this is an anthology series published by America's Best Comics. And if you guys are not familiar with America's Best Comics, this is an imprint kind of within Wildstorm, which was Jim Lee's comic company that was a part of Image. And so they picked up Alan Moore and America's Best, and they published Top 10, Tom Strong, Tomorrow Stories, and then also like a anthology series for Tom Strong. Very cool stuff, and I'll cover that at some point. This video, like I have stated, is for Tomorrow Stories. So it's a 12-issue run, and I have not read all the 12 issues. I've only read 1 through 4. So yeah, that's kind of like the main topic, but this isn't like a review. This is more of an overview of these comics and kind of talking about them and spotlighting them for a second. So like I said, it's an anthology series, and so Jack Be Quick is kind of like a science story about a boy named Jack and his town of, what's it called? I think it's called Queerwater Creek. Yeah, Queerwater Creek. And so the concept here is that he's like this young boy genius, and his bumpkin parents are kind of just dealing with him, and actually, in one of the stories, they hang themselves, which is pretty insane. But the first story here has to do with black holes and relativity and dimension. Here you see like a cow gets stuck in a black hole. So that's a lot of fun. Wow, I didn't even mention Gray Shirt is also a part of this anthology, which is my favorite. So this is kind of like the Spirit ripoff in a way, and it's drawn by Rick Veitch, and you get these really beautiful kind of panels that harken back to Will Eisner. So you get these really cool splash pages with the title in them, and they usually have an O. Henry ending where the bad guy isn't who you thought it would be. The First American and U.S. Angel is kind of interesting in that these stories almost feel like a kind of like commentary on EC. Like there's a lot of EC aspects to them. But then on top of that, you get these really cool kind of meta commentaries on the comic book industry. And there's like this specific story deals with Jerry Springer, but it's not Jerry Springer. I think it's Terry Swinger. Some sort of riff, and it turns out that Terry Swinger is like an alien, and he's just causing all this drama on TV to subjugate humans to blah, 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 right? Here's issue 2. And again, these issues are just so cool, man. The Gray Shirt story in here is actually very cool. It's Alan Moore kind of playing with form, which he does very nicely. You know, I think Alan Moore is known for breaking down American superhero culture. He does that in Watchmen, and less so American, but he does it in Miracle Man, which I think it does a better job at breaking down superheroes than Watchmen. But those are kind of similar in tone, where they're serious and they're dealing with all these kind of political aspects, and there's a lot of ethos there, and what is the ethics of a superhero in the world, in a real world setting. But here it's just kind of fun things, here's another Jack B. Quick story. And so that's kind of the cool thing about ABC Comics too in general, is I feel like Alan Moore was less worried about tackling the seriousness of these characters and kind of pointing out their kind of absurdities. And I think Promethea is a really good example from ABC Comics. That comic starts off very strangely. It starts off like your typical story, and then the middle of it is this trip through magic. And he kind of just explains all these different parts of what it means to be a magician and stuff. And then the third part of that is another bit of superhero commentary, but then within a magical setting, and it's just really cool. But yeah, these stories kind of focus on various things. Here's another the first American and U.S. Angel story, and you'll see here that all the people sitting by the fire are very familiar looking, including that guy. Just cool stuff, So yeah, it's an anthology series. I haven't finished it. I just wanted to do a quick overview on it, and we'll go through one more issue and then kind of call it. I hope that one day DC decides to actually collect all this stuff, and one day we'll possibly go over the drama that caused Alan Moore to, in a lot of ways, give up comics. And I think a lot of it is rooted in ABC Comics, not failure, but their betrayal, essentially. We'll cover that maybe one day. So this story, this Madam Cobweb story, which is titled Lil Cobweb, is really cool because it's kind of like, I think it's a riff on Lil Archie, because it starts off in this little cutesy chibi style that looks very, very picturesque. And then you get into these moments of like really well drawn EC stuff. And this is by Melinda Gebbie, who eventually, if not married Alan Moore at this time, or, they were probably dating, whatever. But they worked on Lost Girls together too, which is infamously vulgar, and, it's chased by certain communities as being awful. So here's another example of a page that features both art styles. So very cool. And then this gray shirt story is just so cool. So I picked up this specific issue in a quarter bin. I paid 25 cents for it, and I didn't read it until recently. And then when I read it, I was like, oh my God, I need to get all these stories as soon as possible. I kind of just ordered the rest of them on mycomicshop.com, which you can totally get these for, not a disgusting price. I will say at $2, these are a steal. This is a cover by Melinda Gebbie, I believe. Again, just beautiful stuff. And then always fantastic Rick Veitch. There's some glare there. Just cool stuff. Totally recommend this series. So the next video for sure after this will be on the Russ Cochran EC slipcases. I'm excited to show those off. I have 3 that I am going to be able to talk about. So thank you guys for tuning in and watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.